From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Jonathan Amberian in Helena. Northwestern energy leaders say they now believe they won't need to call for a power shutoff to be ready for wildfire conditions, but they'll continue to monitor. I'll have a closer look at their decision.
In a historic address, President Biden explains why he left the race. I'm Jared Hill with his message to the nation as his vice president and predecessor begin battling for votes.
I'm MTN's Megan Elaine, seeing just how well the Big Sky State Country Fair did this year.
Alrighty, it is 6:01 on this Thursday morning. Jane McDonald at Matt Elwell with you bright and early. And gosh, that sunrise was what, about 5:30 or so?
Yeah,
5:45?
it was gorgeous. They're
Beautiful.
watching all the beautiful colors here on the background. A little bit of cloud cover certainly helps that beautiful color kind of come to light, as it were. Temperatures this morning into the 60s. For most of us, we do have some 70s. This is a warm start to the day. We like the overnight temperatures to be into the 40s or low 50s this time of year. That's not the case this morning as we have some cloud cover out there. Isolated scattered thunder showers for today. Unfortunately, I think a few of those showers are going to be dry thunderstorms. That means there may be some lightning and very little rain moving out of that. It looks like our daytime high is expected to be into the 90s today in Bozeman, upper 80s in Butte. We have some interesting days ahead, including a big cool down. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, our new this half hour, a Missoula man is dead after crashing his motorcycle on I-90 in Butte last Saturday. The Montana Highway Patrol reports the 66-year-old man was merging onto the interstate westbound from the Continental exit. The man apparently lost control and ended up in the ditch of the eastbound lanes. According to MHP, the man succumbed to his injuries on Monday. And with extreme fire conditions expected in Montana this week, Northwestern Energy announced they were looking at the possibility of preemptively turning off power in some areas to reduce that wildfire risk. And on Wednesday, leaders say it appears that they won't need to conduct a public safety power shutoff this time, but it's a tool they'll continue to consider. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian has a closer look at what a shutoff could look like.
Northwestern energy leaders say there's been a paradigm shift in the way electrical utilities across the West are looking at reducing the risk of wildfire, and a public safety power shutoff could be part of that. But they want to make clear it's a tool they're only going to be considering during the most severe conditions.
It's the last defense of many other strategies that we employ prior to a power shutoff.
Jason Merkel, Northwestern's vice president of distribution, says the idea of turning off power to defend against wildfires isn't new, but they're formalizing it to give employees and the public a better understanding. If forecasts call for dangerous fire weather, high temperatures, low humidity, and especially heavy winds, Northwestern would begin by announcing days ahead that it's monitoring the situation, as it did in this case. Once the decision is made to shut off power, they'll let customers know by phone or email. Power lines have been linked to disastrous fires in places like California and Hawaii in recent years, and Northwestern has said a high wind event affecting one of their lines was apparently what led to the 2021 West Wind fire that devastated the town of Denton, Montana.
We're very focused on preventing that ignition. That's not to say we're going to prevent all ignitions. We want to prevent that ignition that under the right weather conditions could end in one of those tragic events.
Northwestern says a shutoff would be focused on specific areas, particularly on the outskirts of communities. Merkel says Northwestern is taking many other steps to address fire risk, from changing when they do their work, to adjusting their equipment, to installing automated cameras to alert for smoke. Northwestern says one important thing that customers can do is make sure that their email and phone number are updated, so if there is an emergency situation, the utility can get hold of you. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
And a historic moment last night. President Joe Biden, speaking from the Oval Office, explained his decision not to seek a second term. He said it's now time for new voices while laying out the vision for his final 6 months in office. Meanwhile, yesterday, Biden's chosen successor, Vice President Kamala Harris, and former President Donald Trump hit the campaign trail, presenting their visions for the next 4 years. CBS News' Jared Hill has the latest from New York as Harris prepares to address the nation's largest teachers union this morning.
It has been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years.
From the Oval Office, President Joe Biden explained his decision to leave the 2024 race, calling it the best way to unite his party and the nation.
Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
The president's supporters gathered outside the White House to listen to the speech, some shedding tears.
A grateful heart for the president for his service to our country.
Former President Donald Trump watched the historic address while leaving his rally in North Carolina. There, Trump focused his attacks on new likely Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, frequently mispronouncing her name.
Lion Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe.
Earlier in Indiana, Harris spoke before members of historically black sorority Zeta Phi Beta, rallying support among a crucial voting and organizing bloc.
These extremists want to take us back, but we are not going back. We are not going back.
According to a source familiar with the process, Harris is vetting around a dozen possible running mates, including governors, members of Congress, current cabinet secretaries, and some names who aren't presently in public office. That pick expected to be made public sometime before August 7th. Jared Hill, CBS News.
And if no challenger emerges against Vice President Harris, the Democratic National Committee is set to vote on her nomination as soon as August 1st. That's according to new rules passed at the DNC yesterday. Already, Harris has secured endorsements from over 3,000 state delegates, and if that stands, it would be more than enough to eventually become the Democratic nominee. Now, a little bit closer to home, a final decision on the future of Bison and Yellowstone National Park was announced yesterday. According to a press release from the National Park Service, or NPS, the park will increase the number of bison allowed from 5,000 to 6,000 animals. Various methods will be used to manage the bison, including shipping the animals to tribal lands and tribal and state hunts. The NPS received more than 27,000 comments regarding bison management. Find more on the final bison management plan over on our website. And the Big Sky Country State Fair wrapped up this Sunday, after a week of near record high temperatures and a list of brand new events. Our Megan Elaine checks in with organizers to see how 2024 went while gearing up for next year.
Behind me, people are currently taking down what was the Big Sky State Country Fair. I'm here checking in to see just how well they did this year. After months and weeks of preparation, the fair came to a close Sunday evening.
People have been using this space to gather as a community for over a century now.
Fair director Caitlin Quisenberry put in a lot of hard work planning the fair this year.
So excited to book Ludacris this year. It was a great year for it. He was just playing at the Super Bowl. He's on the State Farm commercials, and he's just such an iconic star. So we are happy that we were able to book him for $200,000.
Caitlin says there were many new additions and acts, but
our numbers in attendance were a little bit soft, so I expect our revenue numbers are going to be equally as soft. But that's okay. When you look at 2023, it was sort of an anomaly. So those numbers were super high. But when you compare us to 2022, the year before, we're on the same trajectory.
Gallatin event rental employees tell me the fair was actually very busy.
Yeah, every time we were here, there was way more vendors than last year, and everyone was setting up stuff.
With lots of planning and preparation, they put in a lot of work.
Yeah, we've been out here a couple days working pretty late nights and just putting up a lot of stuff for these guys.
Caitlin says all of the setup paid off. The new water filling stations refilled over 1,500 water bottles.
Our heat-related injuries were also significantly down.
It was a year for many firsts.
Yeah, and the sheriffs just posted it. They only arrested one person this year. That's a big one for us.
They're already planning for next year. In Bozeman, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
Well, all good news coming out of the fair, I guess.
Not so bad.
Yeah, I think so. Now, before we get into a break, you kind of saw some of those cows. There was a lot of animals, of course, at the Gallatin Big Sky Country Fair. But let's just say None of the cows made their way onto Huffiner Main Street.
Yeah, that's good.
We're heading over to California,
Of
LA
course.
to be specific. Well, let's just say Montanans know how to handle their cattle maybe, because this cow
There's
on
not
the
as many
loose.
cowboys in LA.
I don't think so. I don't think at all. Time to learn how to close that gate maybe. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that cow, it was really a tough time.
Did they not see the?
They not maybe
I
didn't
don't
see it.
understand. That's
Thankfully,
devastating. He's fine.
thankfully the cow looked like it was okay, was able to get away, and the cow is safely back with its owner this morning.
How
Thankfully.
devastating, though.
Yeah, really, really scary stuff. So thankfully, it all ended okay. Cow is back where it should be. Car had some damage on it, but
Yeah,
hey,
you would say so.
you got to look out for people crossing the street. Cow has the right of way, right?
That's right. Always yield to the bull.
That's it. We're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning. When we come back, though, well, we've all noticed the heat, but what else might notice the heat? Might just be your lawn.
As hot temperatures in Bozeman persist, we're checking with the Bozeman Water Conservation Division on how the water supply is doing and what you can do to preserve water and your lawn.